Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining and welcome. My name is Meredith Henson. I am the Senior Partner Success Manager at Totara Learning, and I am joined today by the sensational Matt Lineker. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Meredith, and hi to everyone just joining the webinar today.
Yes. Hi, everyone. So we've got a few folks just joining now. So thank you for everyone that has joined us today. I'm going to, do some intro while people are joining, and I'm going to launch a very quick poll just to see who I am speaking with today. Today's poll, and as most of my polls are completely anonymous and optional, so if you would like to respond, fantastic. If you don't, just ignore. So thank you again for everyone who's joining us and just joining us now. So today's session is going to be just a couple of slides. In fact, I think it's a record short number of slides that I've got on my deck today, and but mostly a live demo. And we'll be talking about workspaces across the Totara Engage system and how you can use those to empower and support collaboration across your organization. So it looks like from the poll today, everyone's pretty much voted. So most of our attendees today are existing Totara users, which is fantastic. Welcome. And there's a couple of people there that have not yet started. I'm going to look positively. Yet started using a Totara product. A big hello to you. For those that aren't familiar with Totara, if I am talking about something that you're not familiar with, please do ask. The Q&A area of Zoom is where I'd love you to post any questions that anyone has. That way we can keep track of what I have and haven't answered, and we can then follow up any missed answers in the community forums in the Totara community area. Any other general comments or follow-ups, please do post in the chat. Matt is looking after me and the Q&A and chat today, so please feel free to ask and answer any questions there. So today's session is being recorded so that folks in the future can watch, or you can rewatch the session. And this recording will again be available on the Totara community. There's a special catalogue full of all of our webinars on demand, and you can pop in there and review this recording once it's up. And any other webinars or myself or my colleagues or some of our customers have done in the past. Matt might be kind enough to post a link directly to the upcoming webinars into the chat there. So today we're going to be talking about workspaces. I wanted to let you know that I will be focusing on Totara Engage, which is part of our Totara Talent Experience platform. If you do happen to have questions around Totara Learn or Totara Perform, which all three of them together form the Totara Talent Experience platform, do still pop them in the Q&A, and if we have time at the end, I can follow up on those. So let's start off with, what are workspaces? So this is a definition that I've just come up with as part of my prep for today's session. It doesn't necessarily explain all the different ways you can use workspaces, but for me, it sums up what workspaces are. And that's a public or private collaborative space for discussion and learning, for sharing ideas, resources, and knowledge. So that's what, and the next is the why. Now, before I do that, in fact, going back a step, I might just, while we're on this pretty page with the pictures, launch my second poll of today, which is just a quick question for everyone, really, and just to see how has, if at all, has COVID changed the way that you work and the people at your organization work? And this is just an indication of well, just out of interest, but also help shape the discussion around workspaces today. So the options are everyone is working from home or remotely. People have the option to work from home or remotely, whether that be all the time or some of the time and taking on a hybrid model, or nothing has changed at all. So again, completely anonymous and completely optional. So it looks like most people's answers are in. And let's have a look at the results. So it was a quick one. We must as well share. So it looks like just It's a pretty close split, really. Just edging in there as people have the option to work from home or remotely, so more of that hybrid model. But then also everyone is working from home or remotely, whether that's before or after. And nothing has changed, just a small minority. That's interesting. Thank you very much. Okay, so looking at the next slide now is why might we use workspaces? And for clarity, right after this slide, I'm going to go straight in and show you what workspaces are from a technical or functional point of view. We've talked about them being these collaborative communication and sharing spaces. So how might those be used across your organizations? What challenges might you be meeting with the use of these workspaces? Here are just a few ideas. And I'll just go through these relatively quickly. There is a workspace ebook that our very own Matt Lineker was fundamental in producing, which hopefully he'll be kind enough to post a link to today. I'll be talking a little bit more about the ebook shortly, but I've taken some of these ideas from the workbook just to give you a bit of a teaser for how comprehensive that resource is. So one of the reasons we might use workspaces is around onboarding for new starters, giving them a space to ask questions, to have resources, curated resources together for their journey in joining your organization. That will not only support new staff, but provide an opportunity for existing staff to share their knowledge and to help those new starters join and be assimilated into the organization. Workspaces can also function as a dedicated project space. So we can have public or private spaces. You might have a dedicated space for people working on a short or long-term project. Another option is using it as a resource bank for an organization or a department or a team or even a certain office location. You might have a geographically spread organization, and you can have a resource of all these resources and connections between people across that organization. Now, it could also be used as a knowledge bank, could be used to capture questions and answers, as well as a resource bank where people can search through the different resources and even the conversation to find their answer and to be able to tap into the subject matter experts. So speaking of subject matter experts, workspaces can also be used for sharing best practice. Whether that be a community of practice or just a resource area for better and best ways of doing something across your organization. Now, workspaces can also be used for managing change. So that might be sharing proposals in terms of proposed changes, team structures or policy changes. So sharing that information, but also capturing people's thoughts and ideas and the discussion around those changes. And the final idea here is around mentoring. You might have a one-to-one, a workspace for just two people, or you might have one mentor or a leader of some kind working with a group of people across a workspace. And because they can be private, it gives the opportunity for people to share and collaborate and communicate in that safe workspace with their mentors and their peers. So those are just a few examples. Now I'm going to give it a demo on my local demo site, but these screenshots right here are to remind me to let you know that we have in fact implemented Engage as well as Totara Learn across the Totara community. We have opted to drink our own champagne, which I fully endorse, across the community. So you can see from a learner's perspective, what it's like to use a learning management system and an engagement tool in LXP together in one space, and what it's like in terms of finding workspaces and using workspaces. So you certainly don't need to take my word for it. For example, we've got a space dedicated to Totara 14, which was released a few weeks back now, where the community team have carefully curated a range of resources, which you can see in the second screenshot here, relating to Totara 14. So it's all together in one nice place. And there's been discussion around 14. People have asked some questions, we've provided responses. This is, again, just one example of how you can use a workspace. So, the demo. So let me skip over to my demo site and log on in. Now, just a reminder with my demo site, it is the full talent experience platform. So it has learn, engage, and perform on there. It has mostly draft content, but I've added a few bits and pieces for the purposes of today's demo. So I'm logged in as an administrator, but you can set it so a standard learner or authenticated user can create workspaces, or you might set a certain group of people being able to create these workspaces. But so I can show you everything that's available to you, I'm going to log in. Well, I have logged in as an administrator on this site. So workspaces, oops, goodbye. Workspaces are found here under this collaborate menu item. Of course, you can rename it if you so wish. That's the beauty of the language packs and across Totara. And I'll start with find workspaces. And you'll see this is very similar to that screenshot of the Totara community I showed you a moment ago, except for not quite as colorful. So I can search for different types of workspaces. And I said you can have public, private, as well as hidden workspaces. So public items or workspaces I can join as I wish. Private, I have to request to be added. So I can send a request to the workspace owner. And then hidden are both private, but also unavailable in this listing, but people can be invited to them. So it's sort of a request or an invite only option. So I can jump into a workspace that I have maybe not already been part of, so I can be joined, and you can see that then gives me the option to leave. And I simply click on the image, which you can edit as you like when you create a workspace, and jump straight into it. So this is a public workspace of our dear friend Lisa Lerner, who has created a public workspace trying to start a discussion about creating an extended enterprise solution across your organization. So she's added a few key decision makers or team member, senior team member leaders across the system. And she's added a few pieces of content, and that includes a playlist that she's put together around multi-tenancy, a quick resource about what is extended enterprise, and then has posed a question here. And these resources and surveys are items that people can create within their library here as part of Totara Engage, and playlists are the curation or collection of those pieces of content. So if I was to maybe look through these other workspaces, we can see this is one around customer care. So this is an example of having a workspace specific to a certain group or drive or mission around customer care. Again, a public workspace. You can see there's a little bit more discussion around here. Lisa was somewhat on her own in that extended enterprise solution. But here we've got some discussion from Mia and Claire, and in fact, Lisa here. And you'll notice that these questions can be threaded. We've got an option in terms of viewing. We can search items. We can post new discussion items, which can include links and images and media. And you can reply to these items, or you can even like a comment. And if you like and receive those likes on your comments, that sort of engagement and that collaboration all then feeds into the reporting system, which as an administrator you'll be able to see. And that sits under the user engagement report. So you can see who's posting helpful comments, who's engaging in these workspaces and being collaborative and fair and empowering other users. To create a new workspace, I click on the little plus here, and you'll note that I need to give it a name. So I'm going to create a new workspace for onboarding. I've got an optional description, and you'll notice that I can add hashtags in here, which can feed into the wider tagging system. And these adding these descriptions and showing what it's about feeds into the recommendations engine that's built in as part of Totara Engage, the machine learning based recommendation, which can offer recommendations on other workspaces to join. So the more information that you add here, the more likely the workspaces that you create that are public or able to be joined by request will feature in the recommended recommendations block, and people that could contribute in a positive way or the information that you're sharing is most relevant to them will be manifest or displayed across that recommendations area. In this case, I'm going to be super lazy and not do what I promised, just to move on. And you can add your own custom image here. So it's really as simple as that. The hard work now begins in terms of engaging people and creating and fostering a great collaborative environment. But ignoring that for the time being, I want to show you some of the administrative functions and what you can do. So now I've created a public workspace. It's for new starters or onboarders. I can look at adding individual people, and I can maybe cherry select a few or cherry pick a few people that might be great to help encourage and support new members of staff that have a lot of organizational knowledge so that they can answer questions that are posed. So maybe I force add a number of people, but I can also add a bulk add people in a particular audience. Now with these audiences, it's a one-time upload, so it doesn't continuously sync. Lots of reasons for that, mostly technical, but it is something that we're looking at fleshing out. But in the time being, it's just a one-time upload. So I've created a dynamic audience for everyone that started in the last 60 days. So this might be an onboarding cohort for May and June. So I can add everyone there. Unfortunately, there's no one who's just started. This is my demo site, so it's giving me a warning, but otherwise you could add these individuals. Another option is once you've added people, you might change your mind, or you might decide to upload a pretty image. So you can at any point edit that workspace, add in your description, change the name even, or add that image. You can also option to mute notifications, and that's an individual setting. What that allows you to do is, rather than receive updates every time someone adds a new item to the library, or a new person joins, or a new discussion thread or post is entered, you don't receive a notification. However, it is strongly recommended, if you are the owner of that you choose to receive those notifications. And of course, you can modify how you receive those notifications. Whoops, there we go, through your preferences as an individual. And that's part of the new notifications framework that's available across Totara 14 onwards, where you can choose to receive your notifications through alerts, through tasks, via email, or through Teams, or even through the mobile apps. You have all of those options. Other administration functions is that if you leave, or maybe your job changes, you can transfer the ownership of a workspace to another individual, so that if you leave, it doesn't remove access and all of the options relating to the workspace. If you do want to delete it, so perhaps it's a project space and that project has another deliverable that's been since published, you don't need that ongoing discussion, you can delete it. Probably more realistically, we would just mute it and shut it down and have it as a record of what happens. So I know I'm talking a lot and there are going to be some questions. I'm nearly there. So here we have this onboarding item. The other thing that we can, of course, do is add content to it. So we can add content that we've created ourselves, as well as content that other people have created. So looking through this list, we can create our own piece of content. We can add a survey. It might be a survey like, do you know who your HR rep is? Do you feel like you need more support from your manager? Are you enjoying your time at ABC Limited so far? You can scatter in those surveys just as a bit of a pulse check to see how folks are doing. Or you can create a playlist. In this case, I've got some content already, and I might select this survey, helpful resources, and employee induction. Actually, it's already got there. This is a playlist and a couple of other items. Good. So here we've got a couple of pieces of content, individual pieces of content. We've got a survey and we've got a playlist. And we can see that this particular item is highly rated. It's been shared. And this little icon here notes will change for, well, for me, the admin user, to note that it has also been added to this workspace. So we can see, as the author of a piece of content, if we've shared it, we can see where it's been shared across workspaces. Now, we can, of course, also start a discussion. We've already seen some of the discussion, but we can also welcome to ABC. Test. And now we've, as simple as that. So people can comment or reply or create new posts, so we can have this threaded discussion. Okay, I think it's a perfect time for some questions, Matt, if there are any.
Thanks, Meredith. The first question we had, which I've just answered, was whether or not you can use audiences from Totara Learn and Totara Engage. And you did show that, which was really great. But if you want to maybe pick up on that again, just to clarify it.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, so audiences, so the way, I was taking a step back. So the way that the Totara products and the Totara talent management system is structured is that there's some functionality which is core or available across all three of the products. And you can see, if I in fact open the admin menu, it's just clearly labeled here under core. Is helpful, and audiences is one of those things. So whether you're using just Engage or Learn and Engage, audiences will all be available. And because it sits and users are shared across these products, because it's all essentially one site with different functionality enabled, yes, you can absolutely use audiences that you've created as part of Learn into your workspaces when you add on Engage into your offering. But that's a fantastic question.
Another quick question is, can you limit members' rights, for example, so that they can't add or share to the library?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. So let's answer it live. What I'm going to, and the way I'm going to answer it is, I know that there's a lot of roles and capabilities associated, or permissions and capabilities associated with workspaces. So I'm actually just going to find out, and the reason how I would do that, and what I'm going to be doing is jumping into the different roles that we've got across the system, going into the edit area, and then simply doing a search for the different capabilities. So you'll see I've got a filter here. Otherwise, this list is incredibly long, and I'm just going to filter it by workspace permissions, and we can see all of the permissions relating to the workspace. So let's have a look. Add member. Yep, there we go. So link a resource or survey with a workspace. You can turn that on and off per access right or role. So yes, we can. We've all learned today how I would answer that question as well. So you can see, even at a very granular level, you've got control within workspaces about what people can and can't do if they've joined it, but also those people that can create workspaces or not, and even create a hidden workspace. So there, thank you very much for that question.
Thanks, Meredith. Just to reiterate what Meredith was saying before as well, that you can go into the community and have a look at workspaces, and I've posted a link in the chat for that, but that's a great place to go and have a look at what Meredith's talking about today as well.
Absolutely. It is very much a great example of how one way you can use workspaces, and also I'd say how you would successfully foster and support those workspaces. So that leads me beautifully on to the next slide here. And I will just swap my screens over. So as I say, Matt has written a fantastic resource. I'm a big fan of this. And this resource here is not only what we've covered today and sort of some ideas around what you can use workspaces for, and I've only captured a few of his ideas, but it will also cover subjects like how can workspaces support social learning and help develop your people, how you can ensure your workspaces thrive, and what simple things you should avoid doing when building your workspaces. So it's the link will be there in the chat, and it is free to download and use, and it is really a remarkable resource, which I can't stress enough is worth reading. and very much as a supporting act to this webinar today. Were there any other questions, actually, before I move on?
I'm having one question. So someone's saying, is it possible to try it with outside members in a sandbox? I suppose really though, we could say you can join the Totara community and you can have a look at that. Unless you have anything else to say on that, Mary?
No, I think that's a good suggestion. So if you were offering more of an extended enterprise option, then the Totara community is a perfect example of that. We've got internal staff areas, we've got partner areas, and we've got general public areas. So you can see what it's like through there. Of course, you can speak with a partner and trial it if you so wish, or have a poke around. There's also a range of other webinars and demos around Totara Engage if you'd like to view more than just what the workspace functionality offers. Now, speaking of other sessions, we have an amazing portfolio of sessions coming up. We've got, tomorrow is it? One about Elysium Healthcare. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Matt?
Yeah, so tomorrow Elysium are going to be coming on to talk about their case study and talk about how they've updated their site. So they've doubled their traffic. Yeah, they're going to give us some tips and some tricks about how to build a really good LMS, really. So if you're looking at improving your own site, then yeah, do come along to that one, ask some questions.
Thank you. We've got I probably just missed that at the same time. So we've got innovation happening right now. Maybe you can drop off this call once I'm done and jump on theirs. I've got running a general demo of the full talent experience platform towards the end of this month. And then in July, I'll be looking at learning plans across Totara Learn. However, we're always interested in the kind of webinars that you'd like us to put together. So I've just launched our third and final poll to ask, what would you be interested in us providing, whether it's through a webinar or another resource. So it'd be fantastic if you can respond to that. There are lots of other ways to find out a little bit more. So of course, we've talked about the Totara community and academy today, but there are a series of resources on our website, which again are free to use and download. And that includes a range of other fantastic ebooks. Our blogs, that's worth definitely a watch. And of course, there's the help documentation as well. So looking at the poll results, it looks like around half of you have responded. Do let us know if it's a specific item that you'd like us to cover that's not listed there. Do pop it in the chat. We do look through when we do put together the schedule post summer. We've got some gaps, so it'd be good to know what you'd like us to cover. At the moment, it looks like leading the way by it's just changed. It's neck and neck between Totara Learn and Totara Engage. Thank you for everyone who is responding and has responded. And while that's wrapping up, were there any other questions or anything else that I need to know there, Matt?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for everyone who's joined us. I've just closed that poll out. It looks like equal split between wanting to know more about Learn and Engage. Brilliant. So thank you very much for everyone who responded to that. Otherwise, thank you very much for everyone that has joined us today. Thank you so much, Matt, for the questions and support. And as I said, do check out that ebook. It is fantastic. And if there are any follow-up questions after this, please feel free to either reach out directly or ideally post in the Totara community. Thank you everyone for joining. Appreciate your time